Hello, and thanks for joining us from our studios in Tel Aviv. I'm Denise Wood here with ILTV's morning briefing from Israel.
The pro-Israel lobby AIPAC is finally speaking out about the Iranian nuclear agreement, and it's got some pretty strong opinions on the matter. AIPAC is slamming the Obama administration's sanctions, saying the Iranian ballistic missile tests show they're weak and ineffective. AIPAC claims the sanctions are too weak to actually affect Iran's behavior, and it's calling on the US to come up with a serious response to Iran's actions. AIPAC insists there should be crippling sanctions that will target all entities that provide material support to Iran's illegal ballistic missile program, including financial and transportation services. Israel has announced that the Israelis who were killed and wounded in last month's bombing in Istanbul were specifically targeted for being Israeli. The decision means that the 3 Israelis killed in the attack and the others who were wounded can receive state compensation. It was originally unclear whether the Israelis were specifically targeted by the suicide bomber, or if they just happened to be in the area where the bomb was detonated. The Defense Ministry launched an inquiry to determine the attacker's target, and now they're saying there's reasonable basis for believing the attack specifically targeted Israelis. Some of the wounded have expressed outrage and feared they wouldn't receive compensation for their injuries. The ministry's decision will entitle all of the Israelis who were killed and wounded to receive payments from the National Insurance Institute. Israel's always a topic of discussion in the American presidential elections, but Jewish Democratic candidate Bernie Sanders is taking things to a whole new level. In an interview with the New York Daily News, Sanders said twice that Israel was responsible for the death of over 10,000 Palestinian civilians during Operation Protective Edge, and blames Israel for the use of indiscriminate force. Sanders' number is way higher than what the UN Human Rights Council says, which claims 1,462 Palestinian civilians were killed during the war. Sanders has denounced the rocket launches by Hamas that spurred the start of Operation Protective Edge, but has failed to give a recommendation for what Israel should have done instead. It's lights out in Hebron as the Israel Electric Corporation is disrupting supplies of electricity to the ancient biblical city. It's part of a 2-week program of staggered power cuts in the West Bank, due to a Palestinian debt of $460 million. Most of the money is owed by the Palestinian-run Jerusalem Electricity Company, which has appealed to the Israeli High Court to stop the disruptions, calling them collective and disproportionate punishment. Last week, the IEC cut Bethlehem's electric supply in half, and before that, it cut supplies to Jericho. The Israel Electric Corporation says it doesn't want to cut supplies, but it's left with no choice because the debt just keeps getting larger with no solution in sight.
That's all for now. I'm Denise Wood, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.